Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Belichick Bitches podcast, the best podcast in the world by some sort of metric, using the only source, the best source. Do trust me. I am your host, Brennan, and as long as he's always is my co-host, Tyler.
Sounds like you're like on the introduction of like one of those spooky podcasts, like, and on this episode of
Spooky.
yeah, bro,
We're done with spooky season.
you had you had this like really like dark voice, like welcome to the Belichick Bitches
Well,
podcast.
I just had to go put up Christmas lights, so I'm just kind of done. Don't want to do it. I'm just done.
And on this episode of the Belichick Bitches podcast, we're gonna be. Anyway, don't mind me.
I won't.
Okay.
I'll just mute you for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, probably should do that anyway. So happy. I hope we all had a happy Thanksgiving. We got some amazing football on Thanksgiving. Okay, no, we didn't.
Hard sarcasm.
We got the Lions losing their annual game on Thanksgiving, and we got Ellis trying to imitate a football team. So yeah, and we
So,
got a third game.
Conveniently enough, Dallas trying to imitate a football team while they were playing the football team.
We got a team with no name absolutely demolish them on Thanksgiving. So let's get into the Houston versus Detroit game, because I feel like that was the more interesting of the two, if you could even say it that. So starting off with this was Patricia's last game as head coach. He got fired.
And Bob Quinn's last game as the general manager.
And, yeah, because
it's about time.
Again, we were talking about this only 5 seconds ago. Stop trying to be the Patriots if you don't have.
Just be your own coach. Come on, it's really not that. It's not that hard. Just be your own coach. Stop trying to be and do something that has been proven to only work once.
Maybe a copycat league, but that doesn't mean you have to. You can't change. So there's a point where it's not a copycat league anymore, and I feel like that. Patricia lost that locker room. I think even before the season began.
Oh yeah, and when he got rid of Darius Slay, I think was kind of the tipping point.
Yeah. What makes some sense when we have Patricia? I know he's a good guy. I mean, you can see that in England, he's a good guy.
Maybe to his pencil,
but he's kind of a dick.
He's a good guy, but he's kind of not.
I believe he's a good guy, but he puts up this front. Like, I don't know if you've seen the clip. I don't know what exactly it was from. I don't want to mislead anybody. But it was a clip of him. He was in a media session. And a reporter was slouching a little bit. Whatever. Everyone's been there. And he said, you need to straighten your posture out. Like, dude. You're a coach. You're not.
Maybe you need to eat one less cheeseburger.
Like, dude, calm down, okay? And you know damn well he was like that in the locker room too, And it's like, being Belichick only works when you're winning.
Yeah.
And if you know you're not gonna win, you shouldn't be like Belichick. Just don't work. And I don't know, man. So that happened. The game itself was pretty terrible.
Most Thanksgiving games were
really well. It was like backyard football where it's like. And you're like a bunch of 20-year-olds going up against a 10-year-old team. Kind of what it looked like. I mean, the Houston were doing like backyard. Did you see the? Oh my God, what am I blanking out right now? Anyway, it was a trick. It was that trick play where the running back tossed it back to the quarterback. My mind just completely.
The flea flicker.
Anyway, flea flicker. Could not understand why I can't remember that name. Do a flea flicker, and it was like the running back took the ball to the right hash. And then, realized, hey, I'm not going to get any yards out of this. And he looked at it. I don't think it was designed. He just tossed it back to Watson. And Will Fuller was wide open, Mr. PED Fuller. Yeah, 2 Houston players got tested positive for PEDs. In, 20-something hours of each other?
Yeah.
It was Will Fuller and then Bradley Roby. So, no wonder they were playing so good.
Yep, now Will Fuller's not he won't be able to play until 6 games into next season.
No, it's 1 game until next season.
What?
Yeah, it's only 1 game until next season.
Oh, I thought he was done for the rest of this season, then 6 games into the next season.
Oh, it's 1 game. It's 5 games this season and then 1 game next season.
Oh, okay.
So any team that picks him up free agency will be able to pick him up after week 1. Practice after week 1. pretty much it. It was a pretty. If you were watching that game, I'm sorry. That's about when we ate, and we were watching that game, and it was pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, most of those games are pretty sad, especially for
So,
Thanksgiving.
yeah, it's like on Thanksgiving you want to be happy, you're thankful, and then you turn the TV on, look for some football, and it's just depression, man. You're like, yeah, no, it wasn't it. So the only thing I could really think of to describe this Washington Dallas game
Antonio
is just
Gibson.
pathetic. First of all, Antonio Gibson got me 32 points in fantasy. So
I think that's like the only way that you can describe this game is just Antonio Gibson. That's it.
he's finally reaching up to that hype that he had. You can I really love how he catches the ball because he was a receiver in college. In case you didn't know, like you didn't hear it 100 times in the announcing. His route running and his catching is just beautiful.
That's probably
It's
one of my
beautiful to
biggest
watch.
pet peeves with announcers, just repeating the same thing whenever they can't think of anything else to say about a player.
Did you know Jacoby Myers played quarterback in high school?
Did you know Philip Lindsay was an undrafted rookie from Colorado?
Yeah. So I need to do some research on this, and I feel like I'm going to do some research on this while I'm talking. Is the NFC East the worst division in NFL history?
I think we talked about this a little bit last episode. I definitely think it's got to be up there, if not number one, in terms
So
of win-loss record for the entire
the worst
division.
cumulative record in NFL history for division was the 2008 NFC West, which went 22 and 42, 344 winning percentage. NFC East winning percentage here. They're 619 and 1. So it's 250. So if they keep this pace, they'll be the worst division in NFL history. I think that matches up. I think we can finally say we're not in that recency bias anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That you kind of get in a lot of times when you say the best or worst ever.
I think
this division's terrible.
I think it's pretty valid to say that this is if not one of the worst divisions in NFL history. Yes.
I can't believe it. And it's just
We're witnessing history.
Very. Did you want to talk about Jerry Jones' stupid comment? Because I feel like you would do it more justice than I would.
So Jerry Jones, actually the title of this stream is Jerry Jones and Kendell Hinton. So Jerry Jones made a comment about it was after I don't remember what exactly he was asked. I didn't see like the full interview. Jerry Jones had said basically that the Broncos quarterback situation with how they had to play literally a practice squad wide receiver who hadn't played quarterback since 2017 at Wake Forest and had less than 24 hours to prepare to play quarterback against the New Orleans Saints. Jerry Jones said that the Cowboys were practically in the same situation when they started 7th round rookie Ben DiNucci at quarterback. Those two situations are not comparable in the slightest. One is a practice squad receiver who hadn't taken a snap at quarterback since 2017. And one is a quarterback that you, Jerry Jones, literally drafted this year. And you're going to come out and basically say to him and say to the world, yeah, he's just as good as a practice squad wide receiver. I don't even know why we still have him on the roster. Yet they still have him on the roster. It's basically he's just here to be the 53rd man, practically.
Man, and I think what's the most disrespectful about it, and it's not like Ben DiNucci he's been sitting on the sidelines since week 1.
I would have rather had Ben DiNucci start for us. At least Ben DiNucci would have completed more than 2 passes and probably would have thrown 2 interceptions, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I think the thing that makes this completely incomparable is, like you said, the drafted quarterback. I mean, DiNucci knows his playbook now. Dallas's playbook. He's been with the team since, March. Or, I don't know when the draft was. This year.
May.
He's been with the team for at least 8 months, including the season. He knows the playbook. Hinton literally, where he knew what 25 plays. He said going into
Yeah,
that game,
something like that.
and you know damn well those 25 plays, only like 10 of them were pass plays. Most. Most of those were runs, designed runs. They were not throwing the ball. I mean, you could see it in the way he threw the ball. It wasn't there. So Jerry Jones is just, I don't know.
I
It's
feel
insane.
bad for Danucci.
Yeah, imagine being told that, like your boss or something. Hey, you really are the worst technician I've ever hired. You can get back to work now.
Yeah, you can go back to work.
Okay, man. Okay, dude. Yeah. What a dig. So those were the Thanksgiving games. We were supposed to have a third Thanksgiving game.
We'll
We
talk
were,
about that
everyone
later.
was pretty hyped for it. And then, yeah, we'll discuss that all in one go. Yeah, anyway. I'm already annoyed just thinking about it.
I am annoyed
So,
by that too. So don't even worry about it. We're in the same
so
boat here.
this game was pretty pointless. Brandon Allen made his debut with the Bengals in a game against the Giants. So that doesn't scream fun. That doesn't scream fun. I don't know what does. It was a glorious game.
Back in my day when Brandon Allen
I'm
was
not
a
gonna lie,
starter
bro.
for the Broncos.
I'm not gonna lie though. I really like Brandon Allen's game. I'm not even gonna lie though. He always he has something about him. He's just fun to watch. I don't know.
Really?
He only scored. I like Brandon Allen. I don't know. It's one of those things where like you see a player and you know they're not that good, but you just enjoy watching them. Those things. It's weird. Can't describe it. That's how I see it. It's like I just like Brandon Allen. I don't know.
It's the definition
Weird.
of a one-read
Cool.
quarterback.
Perhaps. And then Denny Dimes, he suffered an injury. Still leading the NFC West or NFC East.
What,
Yeah.
how many weeks ago did I say that for the first time, like Giants, I could still see the Giants winning this division, and I'd actually bet on the Giants winning this division still.
Sad. I think I would go with Washington just if Daniel Jones is out for an extended period of time, and the Giants do have to start Colt McCoy, who's their backup. Yeah, I
I actually
put my money on Washington.
kind of want to bring this up again. Like before we did that, our predictions for the NFC. I remember like in that episode, I said I had redone my NFC East, and I had originally had the Giants winning the NFC East at like 8-8.
Jesus.
That is a very realistic possibility that could actually happen.
That's sad, man. It's just a shame to see, and it's just a shame to know that one of like New York, Washington, or God forbid Dallas or Philadelphia
We'll make
are going to be
playoffs.
hosting a playoff game. They're going to host a playoff game.
Yeah.
Not just play a playoff game. They're hosting one. Yeah, and they're going to get completely smacked in the mouth, though.
That'll be a second bye week for any team, practically.
Too much. Who knows with how the NFL is postponing games? Some team may get like 3 freaking bye weeks. Anyway, can't talk about that yet. We have other games to talk about. Another game that was really, I don't know, it wasn't enjoyable to watch. Tennessee versus Indy game.
The Derrick
It
Henry
was just,
show.
oh man.
That See, I want to like Indianapolis, but
It's that.
they're so inconsistent, and their ground game is one of the worst in the league. I think they average like 3.6 yards per carry, which is the worst in the league. And if you're not facing a bottom tier rushing defense, you cannot rely on Phillip Rivers in this passing game to win you games.
Yeah. And it's one of those issues where, at least in my opinion, I like the defense, even though I know it's hard to say when they let up 45 points. I like the defense. So, I mean, not a lot of defenses can hold Henry. I don't know if there's really a defense that can hold him when he's the game plan. I don't know. I just need to see it from the Colts, man. They have a really good win, and then they have a struggle. They're kind of like what Houston used to be, with
Yeah.
that week to week inconsistency. It's like they've taken that role over for the AFC South. One week they're like one of the best teams in the league. The other week they're like, you kind of look like Jacksonville, man. I don't know, man. I just hope that boy, what's his name? Leonard just keeps. He's still disrespected. Darius Leonard.
I don't know why.
Saying
I have no
he was
idea
he
why.
was disrespected going into the draft. He was disrespected his
For
rookie
rookie
year.
of the
He
year.
had that amazing rookie season.
Yeah.
And he had an amazing follow-up season, and dudes are still like,
Who's Darius Leonard?
and now it's his third. And now it's third season. Like, oh, who's Darius? Who's Darius Leonard, bro? He's top 3 linebacker in the league. Thank you very much. So disrespected. It's crazy. Speaking of Jacksonville, the Bird, Mike Glennon.
I mean, you just skipped over a game.
I did because it. Don't. Okay, yeah. I mean, no. I'm doing Mike Glennon. No. Mike
All right,
Glennon's
fine.
a goat, man.
All right, go ahead. Do Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon's a goat. What happened
The
to the
giraffe
dog? I did
himself.
not. Did I do that?
What?
The doc. What happened with New England and Arizona?
What are you talking? That was you. I didn't do anything.
Oh, making me go crazy.
You're making yourself go crazy.
Yes. So yeah, Glennon went out there and they lost the game, but he played really good, and that was all
Oh
that
my
really matters.
god.
You didn't see that. So yeah, Cleveland struggled with Jacksonville. It was a very Cleveland thing to do. Baker, did you see that? I think you sent me that Baker read. That he missed.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Oh, Baker. It was so. For those who didn't see it, I want to say Baker was in the pistol or in the gun, and on the left side there is a stacked wide receiver look, and the inside receiver was running a corner. This was in the red zone, by the way. It's like inside the 5, and then the outside receiver, who is below, was just running a simple slant. And so the inside receiver runs his corner. He draws both defenders to the corner route, leaving the slant wide open over the middle with no one within like 5 yards of him. Baker hesitates to throw it. It's wide open as soon as the play starts. He doesn't throw it. He waits a little bit longer until like he's basically sitting in the wide open, like, hey, throw it to me. Then Baker finally throws it, and it's over the dude's head. He barely gets his fingertip. He can barely get his fingertips on it and sails out of the back of the end zone. Literally the definition of a wide open touchdown pass. Baker overthrows it against Jacksonville. Baker.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with him, man. It's just he's another one of those things where, man, sometimes he looks like a top 10 quarterback. I can't even deny it. His plays, man, or sometimes some of the throws he makes, they're like, damn, I don't know many quarterbacks that can make those throws. And then he goes out there and he does that.
Damn, I don't know how many quarterbacks can miss that throw.
It's like, I don't know. Even Kendall Hinton could have made that throw.
Yeah.
Come on. Even DiNucci could have made that throw. I mean,
That's something you take into Jerry Jones' office as Ben DiNucci's like, hey, I could have made that.
Yeah. So, okay, the game that I skipped because again,
You know what? You're gonna have to talk about this game all by yourself because you decided you wanted to skip it.
I didn't watch it. I'll be honest, I did not watch it. This was actually the week I probably watched the most football this season.
This is the week I watched the least amount of football because I was in Reno.
The reason I watched the most amount of football mainly because I was trying not to study for my calc final. So I was trying to find any way not to. So I was watching a lot of football.
Well, I was in a car driving to Reno, and then I was in Reno, so I didn't really have time to watch.
You were
a lot
in
of
a
football.
car driving to Reno. Yeah, and I saw the receipt.
Yeah, that was a dinner. Yes. It was good though, very good. Brazilian
so pretty much,
steakhouse is so great.
Your draft crush had like a huge game.
Yes, Jeremy Chin, my boy.
He had like two touchdowns.
Two fumble recoveries for touchdowns and back-to-back plays.
That's pretty much it.
PFF Rookie of the Week.
The Vikings barely won because the Vikings barely beat everybody. And Carolina continues just to lay the foundation for, I think, what's going to be a good next year. Can't wait to see Carolina next year. It's going to be fun.
they figure
Let's
out
say.
if they get a more solidified offensive line,
Yeah.
they get a healthy Christian McCaffrey back, some better pieces than that secondary at like corner. Maybe a maybe like a Micah Parsons in the first. Who
Yeah,
knows?
they definitely need more playmakers on defense. They have a really solid defense, like a bunch of guys that kind of know what to do, but they definitely need that playmaker that's not Brian Burns.
Or
I
Jeremy
think if
Chin.
they
Yeah.
find, yeah, if they find that kind of piece, they're gonna be good, man.
Don't disrespect my boy.
Finn is a monster. He's been seeing more game. I saw someone make a defensive rookie of the year case. I was like, whoa, slow down, everybody. That's a big jump. Calm down.
I mean,
But yeah,
he was one of my draft crushes, and even I'm not making that case.
I was like, it was like two. I saw two people do it. I was like, calm down, everybody. No. Okay, this game I watched. Sadly, it was the game I didn't want to watch this week.
I was watching
So,
that game in the car.
oh god, I'm sorry about that. So Kyler Murray, first of all, I'm gonna get this out of the way. Kyler Murray was hurt. You could see it in the way he played, because he was skittish and he was not using his legs until way too late. Yeah, no. He definitely needs to work on his pocket game this
Yeah.
offseason. I think he figured out what his offseason goal is, because his pocket game when he couldn't run, yeah, it wasn't pretty. He was afraid of the blitz. He was really uncomfortable in the pocket. Granted, he's playing again behind Arizona's offensive line. I would be scared too, because it's
Yeah, Arizona
you
still
have
has like
Mason Cole
another
at center.
year or two before they're like a legitimate contender. They're just too young
Need
of a team right now. I think they're the most penalized team in the NFL right now, actually.
Yeah. They need O line and D line.
Yeah.
If I can say something, they need some big boys. Mason
They need
Cole at center.
they need a bunch of people in the let's redo World War One and just get a bunch of people in those trenches.
Okay. Anyway, I think that might have sounded better in your head.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
As do
Mason
most
Cole,
things.
man. Mason Cole has been like the future center of the Cardinals for like a few years now, and he took over the center role this year. No, he was missing a lot of easy blitz pickups. New England just blitzed Kyler Murray for 4 quarters. Our offense was terrible. I'm not even going to rant
Sounds
about
like
New
my
England.
kind of my kind of game plan.
It's really not even worth talking about New England. It was that bad. We won not because we did good. We won because Isaiah Simmons is an idiot
Yeah.
and tried to decapitate Cam Newton.
I saw a meme about that. It was a picture of Cam Newton and it said when you're it's like when you do really poorly on a presentation but you still get a good grade anyway.
No, I like how people always rode the NFL officiating for not penalizing defenders when they hit Cam, because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And
And he usually
so
lowers his helmet most of the time.
Yeah. So Cam literally was running out of bounds. He pulled up. He was out of bounds. Isaiah Simmons was just trying to make a play, a little bit of a stupid play, and he hit helmet to helmet. And you have all of sports media like, well, that's not a foul. Like, pick one. Do you want Cam to be penalized when he gets hit, or do you want New England to not get any calls their way? You need to pick one, and you need to stick with it. Right? Yeah, and we won because we committed a stupid penalty. We can't even. Not even worth going over. We're not good. Woman could be returning soon. I'm not gonna help the offense. I'm sorry. It just wasn't worth talking about. But it wasn't as bad. I'll give this one to you, and then I'll back it up. It wasn't as bad as the Denver game. I will be handing this one to
I
you.
didn't even get to, I didn't even get to watch this game in its entirety. I was like watching the play-by-play on the Broncos app most of the time, and then watching like a few highlights here and there whenever I got to see it. Whenever like the live stream I was watching actually loaded. Kendell Hinton looked like how you'd expect. It was a lot of wildcat offense. I think he only had like 9 total pass attempts the entire game. Completed 2 of them, had 2 interceptions. I think like Noah Fant was like one of the only players to actually catch a ball, and it was for like 13 yards, and that was it. A lot of the plays I was seeing is direct snap to Philip Lindsay. It's like every other play, and if his either direct snap to Philip Lindsay, and he just takes it off and runs with it, or it's a direct snap to Philip Lindsay and he hands it off to Melvin Gordon or Royce Freeman. Um, you can only do so much with what was going on there. Um, I made a good decision fantasy-wise, though, on starting Taysom Hill over Lamar Jackson, so at least there's something good to come from that. All four of our quarterbacks, Drew Lock, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon, even Blake Bortles, were deemed ineligible for this game due to COVID restrictions since they were around Jeff Driscoll, and Jeff Driscoll got marked positive, even though they got put on blast by the league and a bunch of people with misinformation because they all met up to watch film together and just try and actually prepare for games, and they were socially distanced. They were wearing the masks. I think there's video evidence that shows that. But what came out was they were very lax with their stuff. They were taking off their masks like they weren't socially distancing, even though that's exactly the opposite of what happened. I think even Drew Lock's mom started ranting, made a rant, like posted on social media about that kind of stuff.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing on like an iPhone note thing. It was like 3 pages, I want to say, or something like that. It was
Jesus.
Yeah, she was not happy. But yeah, we even tried to I think 2 of our offensive assistants who played quarterback in college but hadn't played for over like a decade. We asked Goodell if we could sign them for the game and play them, and Goodell's like, no, you have to play either Royce Freeman or Kendall Hinton. It's like, the Broncos have no faith in Kendall Hinton when they're trying to. They're no faith in their emergency quarterbacks when they're trying to sign offensive assistants who hadn't played since they were in college, and that was like over a decade ago. But at least you could say they know the playbook. That's probably like the only positive you get from that.
Helped make the playbook, so of course they know it. But it just makes no sense, and this is why I'm going to interject. Makes no sense, okay? So I'm going to bring in the Ravens part, all right? The Ravens got COVID because they were lax. The running backs were lax with the protocol, right?
Yes.
So why in the hell did the Ravens get a suspension of the game? Right? And they say, well, because there was so many cases. But that's a valid point at first, until you think of they made the Niners play with 13 guys on the active roster.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it obviously wasn't because they didn't have enough players, because that's bull. They did. Right? They kept prolonging the game. But you mean to tell me they couldn't prolong the game until the Broncos game until yesterday? Because you know what happened yesterday? All 3 quarterbacks able to play.
Yep. Because
they were cleared of contact tracing. So let me get this straight. You'll suspend the Ravens game 4
almost
times,
a week,
3
almost
times,
an entire
5
week.
Times,
they postponed it 6 days. 6 days
to get the running backs who caused the outbreak into the game. But you won't suspend the Broncos game
3 days
to get the quarterbacks cleared.
Yeah, literally just 3 days.
And this is where it bugs me. I'm not a fan of any of these teams. I hate most teams equally, right? So there's no bias in the statement when I say this. You can't be this inconsistent and expect these players in the leagues to just prance around you, right? And that's it. It infuriates me because you see these Steelers, and you could hear it in Big Ben. I don't know if you saw Big Ben's interview after the game today.
No.
We're recording about 2 hours after the Steelers game was finally played. And Big Ben said, "Yeah, we got to play our the second part of our double header." These players are pissed off, and rightfully so, because you're delaying the games, and you're making exceptions for one team while the other team has to play by a different set of rules. It's not. It doesn't make sense. It's not fair, and they're trying hard as possible not to create a Week 18. You can see it.
Oh yeah.
I would rather have a Week 18 and have some teams have an unfair advantage than whatever this is. Just, in my opinion, this is blind favoritism by the NFL. They want to see a playoff game on primetime. They don't want to see it suspended for a few weeks because it may not matter in a few weeks if the Ravens lose. They want to see Their precious playoff teams play on Wednesday night, on Tuesday night. If that means they have to delay a game 4 times, and that means they have to screw over another team by making them start a practice squad wide receiver who's never seen NFL action, they'll do it, and they don't care. Anyway,
Big market favoritism.
just it pisses me off. It has no reason to piss me off. I should be happy because it's screwing over 3 teams I don't like. It pisses me off. Anyway, sorry, a little bit of a rant.
I couldn't have said it any better. I completely feel the same way. I don't hate um, any of the teams involved. Denver's my favorite team, obviously, but I don't hate Baltimore, Pittsburgh. This is just completely unfair, unprecedented, and should have never been an option. They could have just suspended it. They could just push the Broncos game back till Monday, and they would have been fine. You don't want 2 games on Monday? There wasn't even a game on Monday. They pushed the game back again, third or fourth time? Why not just have it on Monday? What does it matter if there's 2 Monday games? You've already done that. You've already shown the precedent for that. Why not just do that and have a more entertaining, at least a competitive, semi-competitive game? Having an actual NFL quarterback on the field instead of a practice squad wide receiver who had never played in the NFL before.
I hate to be this guy, but I feel like it was partially driven by ratings.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And here's how let's be honest. If the Broncos, let's say, for example, would have had the privilege of signing a quarterback before the game, nameless quarterback, right? They would have been able to sign Tony Romo for the game, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have got as much nobody would have turned into that game because, hey, he's at least a quarterback, right? But I'll be honest, I turned into the game to see Kendell hitting that quarterback. It was only for a drive. I turned it off because I saw him make 3 throws and I knew the game was over. That was partially the reason why they want ratings. And the only way you're going to get ratings out of a Broncos game, because they're not competitive this year, is going to be by stunts like that. So
it's bull.
It's crazy how many people will just die by the sword for the NFL commissioner and the owners.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they'll go to bat.
Even though the reasons they gave were completely proven false, we still had a bunch of media personnel and a bunch of people like that just go full in on the Broncos, like, oh, this is a good thing by the NFL. They're making an example out of them. It's like the reasons weren't even accurate. They were false.
It's just, but I just don't understand how this inconsistency hasn't started this year. Inconsistency under Goodell has been there since day one.
Oh yeah.
And it's just proven time. It's been with suspensions. It's been with how the league handles player negotiations with the NFLPA. It's been with everything. They're inconsistent, and the owners don't care because Goodell brings a lot of money to the table, and he brings a lot of money to their pockets.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's what they care about. They don't really care about the product on the field. At least a lot of these guys, and can only go on for so long. And I feel like this turned a lot of people off. I think it's a bigger issue than the NFL realizes, at least in my opinion. And
I hope
think
it
it's
is.
something that can't happen again. If it happens again, not this season, but let alone in the future, it's going to keep damaging the product. And we want football in the future, but they're doing their best to do the opposite, man. I think that's all we're going to say on it. But it's a shame. It's a shame. It shouldn't have happened. The game shouldn't have been played. I think that's the end of the story.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
It was a rant, but I think that's needed to be said. It's just I could go for an hour about that.
I think we both could.
Oh man. Anyway, Tyreek Hill absolutely murdered Carlton Davis. He is his father. Move on.
He was on pace for an historic day, and then he just dropped off after the first half.
Well, I think they started triple teaming him near the end. In the second quarter, they were putting a corner on him.
And then
him at the line
and shattering Antoine Winfield over the top. I saw that a lot too.
Yeah, they literally after that first quarter, they're like, you're not doing it again, and the Chiefs just picked apart the defense. Brady can't beat a team over 500, man.
Nope. Bucks
Brady,
continue
you're
to
like,
struggle against decent to good teams.
mm,
They
yeah,
they
give me a
dominate
no.
they dominate bottom dwellers, but if they're asked to play a competent team, they fall apart. And that's been the story of this entire season for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and it really makes me like, are they even going to be able to win a playoff game
No,
at this point?
no.
I don't think
People
so.
saying that they're Super Bowl bound, no. Absolutely not. No. Not if they continue on the path that they're on. If they continue to struggle, their defense and offense just completely disappear in big games. They're the Georgia of the NFL. They're the Georgia of the NFL.
I mean,
And coming from a Georgia fan, that hurts.
it's just yeah. I mean, it sucks. There's so much talent on that team, and I feel and I don't. And people are blaming Arians. People are blaming Brady. I feel like it's a lot of factors. I think Arians needs to modify the offense a little bit because Brady just doesn't have. He isn't that type of quarterback. I don't think he was ever that type of quarterback to run
No.
this offense. And hate to be. I don't want to be the one to blame Arians because trust me, Brady is not playing good even without the offense. You got to play to the strengths of the players.
Oh yeah. This is why.
You have too many talented receivers, tight ends, offensive linemen, defensive line, too many talented players to be running what amounts to a running gun college offense. Way
Here's
too much talent.
here's a shocker for people who haven't actually realized this yet. Every quarterback is a system quarterback. Case said point. Every quarterback is a system quarterback. There's quarterbacks that can play in many systems, but every quarterback is a system quarterback. There is no quarterback that can transcend it and play every single sort of system. Every quarterback is a system quarterback.
You hear that? That's like in the distance. It's a bunch of like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady haters coming in to say you're wrong, bro.
I
They're
mean,
gonna hear soon.
I love Peyton Manning.
But yeah, he
Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, they're not running a spread. They're not running a read option offense. They're not running an air raid. Come on, come on, get real. No quarterback is every quarterback is a system quarterback.
it's just yeah. And I definitely think that Brady again, like I said, Brady hasn't been playing the best. I don't think anyone's denying that. Um,
He's actually
but
on par for what I've been predicting this season with the interceptions at
man,
least.
Brady just needs to realize, hey, either you need to somehow get control of that locker room. You need to. So I don't want to say there's a power struggle because we have no evidence of that. There's got to be a point where Arians, if they want to win a Super Bowl this year, which I think is a long shot already, if they want to win a Super Bowl, they have to switch the offense up, and to do that in Week 13 is going to be really hard.
Oh yeah,
They should have done it way sooner, and I don't.
they've let
think it's
this go
going
on
to be
for
done.
too long it's really pretty much season ending at this point in terms of playoff hopes, long playoff run hopes.
I just don't see it unless they somehow match up with the NFC East. I don't see it
Yeah,
happening.
unless they can play the 4 seed in the playoffs, they're not winning a playoff game.
Yeah. Did you watch the Green Bay Chicago game? Because I'll be honest, I didn't care enough to watch it.
I think we were in the hotel room during that time, but we were all playing NCAA 14 on my 360. So we were talking about the score as it happened, but none of us actually watched it.
I just watched like highlights of the game and watched like I was on Twitter when it was happening, so I was kind of refreshing the page, and it was just bad. The only
Yeah,
thing I saw of note was a couple really bad calls, and that was it. The one where the Bears receiver got held up, he was being hugged from behind, so the play was dead, and there was a whistle, and then Kevin King on the Packers came in and like tried to sucker punch the ball, quote unquote. He missed where the ball was. The ball was like really down, and he sucker punched this guy's chest.
the heck.
And then everyone's like, he was going for the ball. I'm like, okay. So then Rashawn Gary sacks Trubisky later in the game, and I think this is the one you probably saw. I think I sent you. He was like giving him 5 right hooks to the chest on the
Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
Rashawn Gary. what are you doing, dude? Like that's
Former first round pick Rashawn
can't
Gary.
do that. I'm like, and then there was no flag, and I was like, you can't do that.
I think
Last
he
time
was a
I
top
checked-
15 pick too, wasn't he?
No, pick 19, I think.
Was he pick 19?
So pick 19 or 17. There was late teens. I have to look that up. I'm like 19.
I'm doing that right now.
19 or 17. It'll be one of those numbers.
Twelfth overall.
Oh God, I was way off. Oh God, never mind. Why do you know this of me?
I thought I could have sworn he was top 15. Yeah.
Damn, that's a bad pick. I mean, he's actually not been playing too bad this year. He's taken over Preston Smith's spot in the pass rushing.
I remember when someone said that the Broncos should have picked him over Bradley Chubb. I'm like, yeah, sure, bud. Okay.
This was another game I didn't watch, and the outcome confused me. I have
this game was
no-
hilarious. I loved this game so
What
much.
happened, bro? The Falcons just
So what
dominated
happened
the Raiders.
is that the
Yeah.
Raiders are not ready.
Oh wow,
They are
that's
not
tough.
ready for the big time. When their
Well,
offense
they weren't even
when
in the
they're-
big,
when they're-
big
when-
time.
when their
in the Falcons.
offense can't get and when their offense can't get going, they're dog crap. This team that has no defense, and when their offense doesn't show up to play, they get blown out. They need a defense. This is the biggest flaw with they have no defense whatsoever. It's been this way for I want to say the least past 3 years. They haven't had any sort of defense whatsoever. Yeah, they played the Falcons. The Falcons they're the Falcons. They have a great offense because of the Falcons, but when you play the Raiders and you shut down their offense, or their offense does, I won't want to say shut down the Raiders' offense. The offense didn't even show up to play. They didn't even get on the plane to travel to Atlanta. Or I know that was a home game. They didn't even get on the bus from the team hotel. They just stayed there. That's what happens. You gotta have a defense. The Raiders are not ready for the big time. They'll probably make playoffs. They're gonna be a first round exit.
Yeah, I'll be honest. man, I
You
was watching
cannot
that
win
live
shootout
score.
every single week.
That live score was so confusing. I was like, okay. It was a game I didn't even know what to say. So for some reason, despite New England being completely average at everything we do, we get talked about a lot more than Buffalo this season. Buffalo is, in case you didn't know, is really good at football. I feel like with Kyler Murray's recent performance and Russell Wilson's struggles and Rodgers' inability to beat the Colts, I didn't say anything. Still kind of feel like Josh Allen's my MVP pick right now. He's been the most consistent.
I think you got to go with Josh Allen or Mahomes at this point. Yeah.
Mahomes again had that stretch, and if you are into advanced metrics, I'll be honest, I'm not.
There was
I don't really
a
like
lot
it.
of plays that should have gone the other way. Yes.
Like advanced metrics, you would think with a guy like Mahomes, advanced metrics would be like his shining stone. It's actually the opposite. Advanced metrics really doesn't like Mahomes. He's graded, I think, still below Brady or at Brady's level. And if you would say that with the normal stats, you'd think you're smoking something.
Oh yeah.
I
Imagine
feel like-
saying that to Chiefs fans. Go. Good luck.
Yeah, I think it's going to be between Allen and Mahomes. Maybe if Kyler Murray gets his mobility back, and you can kind of forget the New England game. But man, Josh Allen is mean, and I feel like I know we haven't talked about the Philly game yet. We will in a minute. No one, Josh Allen was coming out. Everyone said he was going to be a turnover machine. Wasn't going to be able to read a defense.
I mean,
gonna be
most
able
of
to
those
read the
things were
defense.
relatively true. It's that he just put in the work to progress over time. And the thing is about with like a huge project quarterback like Josh Allen is that most people, like, if you have a project quarterback and they're not panning out, you're usually in a place to replace him. At least with Josh Allen, he at least improved year to year enough to where he never put the Bills in position to give them the chance to replace him. So they were forced to stick with him or take a shot on some back end first round caliber player if they weren't going to trade up for a lot.
And I'm so impressed with. I was a huge fan of Allen when he was coming out. I was like, damn, he's gonna be special. And he's been a project. He's taken 2-3 years. Man, he's dangerous.
I
love
just
watching him.
It just infuriates me when when we're talking about like project quarterbacks with other people. I'm talking about project quarterbacks with other people, and now they always point to Josh Allen. It's like, well, Josh Allen, you have to remember, was good enough to where the point Buffalo could not replace him without giving up a lot. That's the important thing here. If you have a project quarterback and they're playing terribly where you easily can replace them, that's a completely different situation than what Josh Allen had with Buffalo.
Yeah. Can't even believe this. I forgot to put in Seattle versus Philly when I was doing the script.
I want to say about that the Seattle versus Philly game. I didn't get to watch the entire game. I got to watch a little bit of it.
I did.
Carson Wentz looked a little bit better that game. His only turnover, I'm going to say right now, wasn't his fault. I think that was just a complete miscommunication between him and his tight end, because I don't see the way that that's not a miscommunication. His interception where he just threw a wide open Quandre Diggs in the back of the end zone. It looks like the tight end was supposed to run a corner and he just sat down or was trying to run a post. I think that was a big miscommunication, and it just gave him another turnover on his sheet.
I watched the full game, sadly. And the only thing I have to say about Philly is, Wentz is getting a lot of hate this year for it. And I think a lot of it's deserved. But we need to really start looking at Doug Peterson. I think I've been saying this for a few weeks.
Yes, we have. Him and Howie Roseman, I think, are probably the next to go.
Howie Roseman has killed the Caps situation.
He can also not draft a wide receiver to save his life.
Well, they can. Rager has talent, but when all you ask him to do is run straight routes, I mean, teams are going to defend it. I mean, when the Eagles play and they have Rager, you want to know what they ask him to do? They line him out in the slot and they ask him to run a go route into a safety that's 10, 15 yards deep, and he doesn't get any catches because, well, that's not a recipe for success. Mm-hmm. Peterson just doesn't. His play calling, it's so hard to watch, man. So hard to watch. It's, again, I hate saying this. Oh, I'm just some schmuck, in my house right now. But I am 90% convinced I could have called a better game versus Seattle. I think most football fans would have known to give Miles Sanders the ball. Would have known.
That was the most surprising thing. Because I easily could have lost my fantasy game, but Miles Sanders got nothing, and I was like, okay, I'm okay with this.
5 touches the whole game.
Yep.
He refuses to throw, and when he does throw to Miles Sanders isn't a receiving back, so he drops his passes. It's shocking. Like, you have a quarterback that's struggling, right? You have a quarterback that has no confidence. What do? You ask him to go out there and throw 50 passes. Don't do that. Okay, I mean that's
a recipe for
basic.
And
again, I'm not trying to say coaching is a really hard thing. Play calling is hard. Most people work their whole lives to not even able to do it. I understand. I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I'm saying right now, Doug Peterson is not coaching at an NFL level. I don't even think he's coaching at a college level.
You probably could have got a better game plan and play calling from Chip Kelly.
I seriously don't understand it. And it's been week after week. You can make excuses with the players, but at the end of the day, it all comes back to the coach. And that's your job, is to, be the one to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Peterson's just not doing it. And it's the reason the Eagles are possibly not even going to win. They had everything going for them. They had a tie. They beat, the terrible teams that are there. They can't do it. So, It's just I don't think it's all on Wentz, and I feel like if there's going to be someone to go, it's not Wentz.
I'd hope it wasn't once. It needs Roseman and Peterson would be the first on my list to cross off. Honestly,
So I've had to type the Jets lose again like 8 times, 9 times, or 10 times. I've lost count.
well,
Jets
considering
lost.
this week we're going to is week 13. I think it's
Jets
11
lost
now,
again.
11 or 12.
Jets lost again. I mean, I feel like we should get like some button of like some automated voice saying Jets lose because
Like the Staples "that was easy" button. Jets lose.
that was easy. Jets lose.
That's what every team
Anyway.
presses after they play the Jets. That was easy.
Auto bye week. Anyway, moving on. I feel like that's really all it needs to be said.
Unless you're the Patriots or Broncos.
New England almost lost that game.
So did we. So I feel your pain.
Did you watch the San Francisco Rams game?
I got to see a little bit of it. Yeah. I still think the Rams are a playoff team. Jared Goff just for some reason struggles against San Francisco. I mean,
Oh, sorry.
Jared Goff versus teams this year, he's 7-2. Jared Goff versus San Francisco, he's 0-2. I don't know what it is about San Francisco, but he struggles against them for some reason, even though San Francisco isn't that great of a team.
San Francisco got that secret sauce. Anyway, yeah, I didn't get to watch the game. That was when I was studying. I'll be honest. I got a 90 on my Cal final.
Debo Samuel really showed up though. I really like what Kyle Shanahan is doing with those receivers in San Francisco. I usually don't like having a lot of the same style receivers as your starting receivers, i.e. Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel, since my comp for Brandon Ayuk was Debo Samuel. But Kyle Shanahan just manages it so well. He's able to do so many things with those guys that it just kind of negates that. Of course, you still want that diversity in the receiver room, and I still think they need to add a little bit more. But Kyle Shanahan's doing a great job with what he's got there.
So we've kind of already talked about Baltimore versus Pittsburgh, so we're just gonna kind of gloss over it. Pittsburgh played down to their competition
Again.
Okay. The only thing of really note that I would say of the game is McSorley got his first game action. It wasn't really much, and it just got forced in there. He threw a touchdown pass on blown coverage. It wasn't really his doing. It was more of Terrell Edmonds taking a terrible route. But hey, touchdown.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that joke that sounds like something I would make at halftime?
I feel like I did.
So it was about the Steelers laying on the ball to end the second half, and the announcer said that the refs didn't call a penalty for that at the end of the half because the NFL had already delayed the game long enough as it is.
Yeah, the Ravens delayed the game by like 6 days. I think the Steelers are allowed 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I honestly, that is against the rules.
Yes, it is a delay a game on the defense. Yes.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. I am 100% teaching my guys to do that.
Oh yeah, that's a smart move there. If it doesn't get called, cool. You basically wasted the rest of the half. If it does get called, the Ravens were already on like the 2-yard line anyway. It's not going to do much. It's
I
just
thought that was
replay
a
it down.
great play. I loved it. I was all for it. If that would happen against New England, I would have been hooting and hollering. But I loved it. I'll be honest.
It's a smart move. It's a smart
Twitter
move.
was like up in rage about it, and I was like, kind of like this. I like that move. But Tom, if you do that against New England, I will be a very not happy boy. It's okay because we won't be facing you in the playoffs anyway. Because we won't be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We have to win out. Hope the Raiders lose at minimum 2 games. They play the Jets next week, and we have to hope Baltimore continues to lose. So if Baltimore continues to lose and Raiders continue to lose, we will get the last playoff spot.
Oh, also shout out to Will Parks on being released by the Eagles and then being claimed by the Broncos. So now he's back in Denver.
Yeah. No, you could have just stopped the congratulations by being released by the Eagles, and I feel like that would have been
That's
even
true.
better.
But at least he's back where he belongs, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was cool to see. Yeah, poor guy though. He's on the Eagles and stuff, and they wouldn't even start him.
Nope.
Using him as a backup.
That's exactly
player,
why
too.
he left Denver, was because he wanted to be a starter.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, I think this episode's pretty long.
Yes, we're currently at 55 minutes.
Okay, so maybe our little rant about the game.
I mean, that was pretty valid though.
It was pretty good though. It was like the best rant I think we've done. I liked it. I have to go listen to that after we record. I was happy with it. So, game of the week, because this game is just chock full of action. We got Kansas City and Denver on Sunday Night Football. If that doesn't get you excited to waste your Sunday night,
That was pretty.
it doesn't either. So don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, for real. That this week is great matchups, top tier, top of the line matchups. I think there's only probably one answer. um, I'm gonna go with Rams Cardinals.
Yeah,
I'll give it to the Rams. Rams advantage. Let's go with a 31-24 game.
I'm torn. I don't know how healthy San Francisco is going to be.
Not very. That's always the answer with
Probably
San
not.
Francisco. At least
I
this
feel
season.
like I can't wait to see Buffalo in primetime. I don't think they've played a primetime game this year. So I'm gonna go Buffalo Niners. I'm gonna go Buffalo Niners as my, and I think Buffalo is gonna kind of flex their muscles in their first primetime game. Give me a 35-21 victory. The Bills. Can't wait to see that game. It's gonna be fun.
Alright. No, the weekly sessions.
Weekly sessions. You got your
Yes.
little player of the week.
So my college player of the week is going to be running back Khalil Herbert out of Virginia Tech. I was almost going to go with a different college back that had a really good week, but I decided to go with Khalil Herbert instead. Maybe for next week. We'll save him for next week maybe. He is 5'9", 212 pounds as a redshirt senior. So he's a bit small, but he's got muscle. Dude's 212 pounds at 5'9". He's a great athlete, a very decisive runner. He's very good at one cut, especially in zone read. The zone read scheme, he does very well there. He runs strong with good vision and instincts, and when he finds daylight in the second level, he finishes those runs strong. He's also a pretty good receiver, utilized well in screens and checkdowns in Virginia Tech. He's a dude all back. He's also utilized on third downs as a very willing pass blocker and a pretty smart pass blocker too. He has very good blitz awareness for a running back. He's not the most elusive back, and he's inconsistent, creating something from nothing. Honestly, his game reminds me a lot of C.J. Anderson. That's probably my comp for him if I had to give him a comp.
And I miss C.J. Anderson, man. He was cool. He was like a little bowling ball.
Yeah.
I know he was like 5'9", 5'10", but he looked like he was like 5'7" out there.
I love the way he pass protected. You just see him lay people out, and
he was
that
like
was
a
amazing.
freaking offensive lineman, bro.
So cool.
He was like,
just
especially when he was on the Rams, bro.
seeing a running back lay out linebackers and defensive ends like in one-on-one situations was just great. I miss CJ so much.
Especially when he was on the Rams that year they went to the Super Bowl, and he had put on a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
Man literally looked like a freaking fullback, and he was a monster for the Rams on that little stretch. So, fantasy news. I'm actually on the rise in fantasy. I don't know if you've seen. I'm on track for the playoffs.
I think I am too. I have a very good chance of making playoffs somehow too.
I'm doing it without the help of Dalvin Cook now.
I just be one of the best players in our league.
I literally got like Antonio Gibson got me 30 points. I have Watson and Rodgers, and I am doing like 9-dimensional chess. I just have like this thing. I'm gonna start Rodgers this week. I'm gonna start, and it has worked out like every single week. But so fantasy wise, again, taking my advice, take it with a grain of salt. But with this matchup, there's so many barn burner games that like don't seem like they're gonna matter. Like Vegas is playing the Jets, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, bro. Henry Ruggs is going to go off, especially after that game. Gruden's gonna be pissed. I think Ruggs has like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns against it. Henry Ruggs is like my number one name I would start. The other name I would really look into, I feel like this game's going to be just a slugfest. Tennessee and Cleveland. You gotta start both Henry and Chubb and Hunt. Any running back that's playing in that game, that's going to be a ground game. It's going to be dirty. And I think for one more wild card, I really think Kansas City is going to put up 50 points on Denver. It's going to be sad.
Yeah.
It's
Start Kansas City's defense.
Start literally. Oh, you should be starting every Kansas City player you have, regardless. Dude, Tyreek Hill's going to do some nasty things to that defense. Yeah, give me.
Especially with Bryce Callahan. I think Bryce Callahan's going to be out too. I think he's suffering with an injury right now.
He's like your. Oh no, I guess Yayadam is your fastest corner.
What?
Don't you have like Yayadam or something like that?
Yadam? No, he was terrible. We traded him to the Giants. Bryce Callahan is by far best and fastest corner.
Oof. How much I know.
And he's like 5'9", 5'10".
Unrelated. Did you see Tyreek Hill's interview?
No, I didn't.
Last night? So they asked him what he thought of Mahomes when he first showed up. And he said, "Man, I thought that dude was trash." Because apparently Mahomes is like his first training camp was terrible.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
He was missing reads, and he didn't look like a first round quarterback. But he said about week 8, he started looking really good, and then by like week 15, he looked like the quarterback of the team. That's when he got the start at week 17, right before the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember that game.
But Tyreek Hill said, "I thought this dude was trash."
That was Paxton. That was supposed to be Paxton Lynch versus Paxton I almost said Paxton Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes.
Poor Paxton Lynch, man. You know what's really funny? I don't know if you remember after the draft, the Paxton Lynch draft,
Mm-hmm.
they said it came out that Jerry Jones wanted Lynch over Dak.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of settled for Dak.
Yeah.
How lucky that is. We settled for this 4th round quarterback, and he's 10 times better than the first round bust. Imagine if Jerry Jones would have traded up for Paxton Lynch.
I would have preferred it.
Glorious. And imagine not being able to beat out Mark Sanchez and Trevor Siemian.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
And also, Gary Kubiak never even wanted Paxton Lynch in the first place, so I don't think he ever really got that extreme fair chance like it was made out to be. Because you could tell from the get-go, Gary Kubiak did not want Paxton Lynch.
Bro showed up like, "Okay, Ben DiNucci." It's down, bro. Anyway, well, I hope you guys enjoyed some rants this week, because that was a great rant. I think that might be the best rant.
Oh yeah,
the podcast.
I would definitely agree. I think that was the most ecstatic. I don't know if ecstatic is the right word, but most passionate I've been in a rant this far.
Pissed, bro. I hit my table, and I
so was I.
my mic just went. It's probably not a good idea. It's still relatively new mic. You should be nice to it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed some nonsensical ramblings, and if you wasted an hour on this, my condolences, because you probably just watched the Pittsburgh Ravens game, which is even worse.
Yeah.
But we'll see y'all next week on the Belichick's Bitches podcast.
Yep. Thank y'all for watching,